All right, here we go.
Hold on. Be curious to see if people follow along too. I know a few people wanted to wait to drink their set until this was up and running. So
I had a couple
right,
co-workers. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I say we're up. We're running. Hello and welcome to issue 556 of Geek in the City of Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Rita.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hashitani.
And our special guest this week is Rev Nat West. Brought us deliciousness.
Not that special because I'm here a lot. I mean, it's always special to me. Might not be that special to the listener.
Yeah, I mean, we could not invite you back if you don't find it special.
Oh, it's very special to me, but I just wonder if people are bored of me.
No.
Probably. Upvote the bored of Nat poll.
That seems unlikely.
Swipe left.
And by the way, just FYI, if for some reason my stream conks out, it's because this Winnebago that's attempting to park right next to us doesn't know what they're doing.
Super.
So there you go. Anyway, I feel like we should just start jumping right into stuff. What do you think?
That sounds reasonable.
All right. So tonight, well, I guess all week or whatever, but it's because of COVID, Nat had to cancel the greatest holiday in Portland, which is Night of 1,000 Tepaches.
Yeah.
But he refused to give in to the disease. By that meaning, he still made Tepache and then set up a box set.
Humanity,
so you could have a festival at home.
Yeah, humanity will adapt. So in the past, we've always done this Night of 1,000 Tepaches where we take Tepache. Come on, background, help me. Take Tepache and I sprinkle it across the city of Portland to a bunch of different breweries, finding the good ones who want to blend it with beer, I curate the list with them, work with folks who want lighter beers, darker beers, whatever. Really try to find the perfect blend, perfect amount of beer and Tepache blended together. And then we package it all up into one keg, and everybody comes to the tap room, and we've had hundreds of people there at a time, so it's pretty fun. But this year you can't have hundreds of people. That's the point. So we also, but an extension of that is we can't have dozens of breweries. I think last year there was like 23 breweries that did it with us.
There was a lot last year.
Yeah. So I had to trim down the number of breweries participating into a more manageable number from a price perspective. You have to sell, whole bottles or cans of things as well. So this year we had 6 and a really good spectrum of different flavors. I think it's missing dark beer. So note to people who are following along, you might want to save some Tepache for dark beer.
All right.
Yeah. So here we are.
Cool.
And yeah, if you want to buy it, sales pitch, go to the website, click the 90,000 Tepaches box kit. It's $50 and we deliver it to you. It's got 6 beers and 2 big bottles of Tepache and 6 smaller bottles and cans of beer.
For folks who don't know, this Tepache is not like the stuff you have in the cans, because that's basically a radler that's already been mixed.
That's right. Yeah. So I've made straight Tepache, regular Tepache, traditional Tepache, whatever you want to call it, in this 22-ounce bomber for many years. I think probably 6 years at this point. And last year we made a little bit of this, and this year we made a whole bunch more of this new product called Tepache Cider Radler, where we take it's what's in the background of Aaron's. It's over there for me, Aaron's background, which is Tepache blended with cider, because Tepache is designed to be blended with something, cider, beer, a liquor, tequila, rum, pork, ice cream. Whatever. It's really it makes everything taste better. So
I just bought ice cream today. I might have to try that out.
Oh yeah, I do.
I'm kind of wishing I had some ice cream.
Tepache float sounds amazing.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Brilliant bastard.
I'm gonna have to buy more now.
Yeah, I don't have any ice cream right now, so. Oh, that's not true. Someone gave me a pineapple, and I made pineapple ice cream with it.
Hey,
you think that's too much pineapple, though?
I don't think.
Is there such a thing?
No. I mean, look at your background, for Christ's sake. I don't think it's possible to have too much pineapple. I mean, some people's like messes with their stomach or whatever, but
Just put a little salt on there.
Yeah, a little bit of salt helps out.
Yeah, pro tip, friends. If you ever give yourself acid, like heartburn or whatever from too much pineapple, more pineapple is the answer. You just got to sprinkle a little salt on there.
Excellent.
Yep.
Like the
So we're gonna start with the Rosenstadt lager. You said
Rosenstadt, yeah.
Rosenstadt.
And
Nope.
I won't talk about Tepache anymore, really, because we got the whole picture about it. But I do want to kind of focus on the beers in particular, and maybe a little story about the breweries, because it's good to have some friends out there.
Because
so this
breweries need a lot of help right now.
Exactly, yeah. So this is I really like this beer because the beer by itself is amazing, but it's also they launched these bottles. They've been around for a couple of years. They launched it in bottles for the first time since coronavirus started. So they're a coronavirus business in a lot of ways, and pretty young company. If anybody ever drinks like real German Pilsners, this is the closest thing that I've ever had in the United States to a German style Pilsner.
And for anyone playing along at home, like roughly 50-50, right?
Right. So the lighter beers can be heavier on beer, and more full flavored beers can be lighter on Tepache.
Okay.
For a light beer like this, 50-50 is a great amount. You might go, you don't want to get more Tepache than 50%. You could certainly have less Tepache than 50%. So I think I didn't see how Denise is doing it, but Cable, you're doing it right. Drink the beer to start, I think, and then you can kind of do some blending from there.
And see, I tasted it, and it's a little sweet, so I poured in just another dash of lager.
Yeah. The worst thing to do is to fill your cup up with something and then not have enough room to adjust. So do small amounts for sure. Sometimes I'll take a whole 12-ounce can of quote unquote bad beer and pour it into a 16-ounce pint glass, and then just top it up with 4 ounces, 3.5 ounces or whatever of Tepache.
That's how I make my cocktails.
There you go. And when you're opening Tepache, make sure you stir it up. Come on, baby, because it's very goopy, thick. So it'll settle down really well.
I should have done that first.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you can still do it.
Too.
There's no carbonation, so stick your finger in it and shake it. It's totally fine.
I give it a little, one of these.
I'm probably drinking 25% Tepache. Has anybody else got a blend that they're doing?
I think I'm about 60
I'm
lager,
right
40 Tepache for this one.
I think I'm right about 50-50.
Yeah. So it's kind of got that pineapple sweet right up front, but then those Pilsner malts are kind of hanging out in the back end. It's fun.
Yeah, if you think it's too sweet, add some more lager, because the lager is drier than Tepache. Tepache it's like, it says on the side of the bottle, it says how to drink. Don't drink it plain. It says at the bottom, it says, or drink it plain, but it's like after you've gone through all these possibilities, then you can drink it plain. But it's really designed to be blended. So it is that rich sweetness that's not necessarily super great by itself.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember. I brought a bottle of something from your tap room as a you go to someone's house and you bring a beverage because they made you dinner. You gotta bring something. And I wish I could remember what it is that I brought, because we didn't end up drinking it. And then on another day, they cracked it open with another friend who was visiting, and they reported back to me, "Holy shit, this is like drinking like a port wine. It's so like rich and delicious. Like we just have to we did drink way too much of it, but we felt like we should only be having it in these like fancy little increments."
Whereas Tepache is not that way. Tepache is designed to be drunk by the gallon for sure. 3.2% on Tepache. So humans, I don't know, all humans or not, but there's some science behind that. 3.2% is hydrating for you, whereas higher alcohol is dehydrating. Yeah, so that's why some of the really tough state governments around the country, they have ABV limits. Like Utah is a 3.2 state. Colorado until recently was a 3.2 state. There have certain restrictions on alcohol higher than 3.2%, and there's a little bit of science behind that number. But this just happened to be 3.2%, not because we were hitting anything hydration.
It's also funny considering how many breweries are in Colorado that they were a 3.2% state for so long.
Yeah, it's like you can only buy beer in the liquor stores, independent liquor stores. You couldn't buy them in the grocery store, but you could buy 3.2% beer in the grocery store. So, but even like a Fat Tire, New Belgium didn't make a 3.2% Fat Tire. They were like, screw it, we're not going to do that. But recently they did change that law in Colorado.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, we don't have to just drink the whole time. We got to talk about some stuff. What else are we talking about today?
Well,
that's a good question.
It's a good question. We were just going to drink the whole time, really. I think we're all still very tired. I think everyone is just always tired all the time.
I forget every year, but the 4th of July really messes me up. And I was up way too late on the 4th. And then I slept in late the next day, and now my whole week has been shot by that one night of like not having good sleep routine. Yeah, and now all week I've been back to my normal sloth schedule of 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. sleeping. It kind of just makes for really unproductive days.
Yeah.
That being said, I did finish a really big project that I'd been working on yesterday. And then in the middle of the night, instead of going to bed, I loaded up those shelves. I put together some shelves, and I put it together during the day and then left it. And then at 1:30, I loaded the shelves up with everything that I had moved around.
I saw the photos. It's a good-looking shelf.
Yeah, painting and staining.
Mm-hmm.
It took forever. I got that stuff. I had to wait to have it shipped, but I got that stuff in early June, and I only just finished. Not to imply that I was working on it like every day, like a job.
No, but the type of shelf that you got, that took a while to get back in.
Right. You guys are trying to get a hold of some, and you haven't been able to. I understand.
We finally got some on Monday.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, like I said, I ordered this stuff in late May, and at that time they had not had any sort of supply issues, at least none that I became aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So
man,
changed quickly.
Yeah, the whole global supply chain is a total wreck right now. I was hanging out with some friends in the bike industry yesterday, and all bikes are sold. You know, getting stuff in is super hard. A lot of stuff's made overseas, of course, but you have to make your predictions in the fall for the coming summer's needs for whether it's replacement parts or clothes or actual bicycles or whatever. So it was really a challenge. And then everybody's got a lot more time, and they don't want to take the public transportation places, and bike sales, regardless of the shortage, bike sales were way up until everybody ran out. So I think every single industry is hugely affected, whether it's positive or negative. Thankfully there are some positively affected industries, but everything's totally topsy-turvy.
I went to the grocery store last week, and there's not no toilet paper, but the entire aisle, this is a supermarket, so long big aisles, the entire aisle was only front loaded, so the shelves look full, but it's totally empty besides that behind that first row. And it's all like the most generic toilet paper I've ever seen. Some of it was in Spanish, yo. I don't live in a like heavily. No. It's like we don't even live in a Hispanic neighborhood.
I know. Yeah.
But that's how they're like really struggling
sourcing
to get supplies. Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird because I don't watch a lot of live TV, but every once in a while I will, and I'll get commercials. And Charmin actually has like a commercial that's the equivalent, like, we know that you're concerned, but know that we at Charmin are on top of it
in these trying times.
In these trying times, we'll make sure you can wipe your butt as quickly as possible.
I hope this advertisement finds you healthy.
That's right. You and your butthole. Sorry, that was.
Yeah. Did you buy the Charmin
turn there
or not? I'm just saying.
How long have we been recording?
No,
37 minutes.
I can't afford Charmin. Can't afford Charmin.
I actually did. We bought some like high-end toilet papers. I went to grocery store. This is probably we actually bought just before the toilet paper shortage started, so we had about a month. Or for some reason, I just bought a bunch, and then I got a couple of single rolls, which I may or may not have stolen from my company.
Right.
And then I went to the grocery store, and the only thing they had was like the $9 pack type toilet paper. So I bought it, and boy, oh boy, it is like you get what you pay for in the toilet paper world. I don't know when's the last time you guys wiped yourself with a roll of $9 roll of toilet paper, but
Wait, one roll was $9?
oh, it was like whatever 8-pack for $9 or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it was like
Okay, 8-pack seems reasonable, but wow.
it was expensive. It was like some kind of super quilted something, and
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a reason that bidet sales went
yeah.
Yeah, they did.
increased
I switched to
exponentially.
Bamboo brand, and there have been no issues in quality or supply chain.
Mhm.
And also, Bamboo is way more sustainable, so I get to pretend I'm doing something good for the environment.
Yeah, because it grows like a weed.
There you go. Very well. The other thing I've noticed, and don't let this make you feel nervous or anything, it's also nigh impossible to buy bullets right now.
Still?
Oh, yeah. I mean, unless it's for like a caliber that like no one really readily collects. Like I have a rifle that's a 45-70. Like no one stocks those. Like no one stockpiles those things.
45-70. Nobody
It's
has that gun.
I do.
Well, I didn't mean to imply.
Yeah, no, because I
Right, but that was the point. It's like it's not even a common gun, so like it's not like everyone's out for this ammo, and yet.
Yeah, no, I can get that ammo. That's super easy.
Mm.
But like 45 9mm, actually was because we had to go to the sporting goods store a few days ago for something, and like that, and that's just gone. There's just nothing fucking there at all. And I was talking to some worker, and they said, yeah, they know our shipping schedule better than we do, and they are waiting outside as the trucks pull up.
Wow.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And even then, they put a cap. They're like, no one can buy more than 2 boxes. Like they're not letting it, but they're blowing out within like an hour every time something shows up. So don't panic about that.
I always figured those types, just stayed at home and made their own. Like they had their own chunk.
You would think so, but
I
think there's a
would.
difference between people that kind of make their own and want to be self-sustaining, and then there's those that are maybe kind of gun freaks and they fetishize them. There's also those that are buying the kind of the same way we used to buy variant covers in the 90s. They think they can sell them later.
Like this rare batch.
Well, there is something to be said if you know that you've got paranoid people in your life and they don't have bullets, and you've got cases and cases of 9mm. Like, boy, that, whatever, that thing you've got over there looks really nice. Want some bullets,
Yep.
I mean,
the paranoia maintains the barter system is alive and well in that culture.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and in every like post-apocalyptic piece of media that you see, like money out the window, doesn't matter anymore. But bullets
and beans.
Bullets are your new fucking currency.
Yeah, alcohol. I'm just stockpiling alcohol, huge quantities. I'll be able to buy anything.
I only half joke when I say that's one of the reasons why I got into brewing.
Yeah.
So I have a
marketable skill in the apocalypse.
I have a tradable skill if everything falls apart.
Post-apocalyptic occupation.
When it all
When.
falls apart.
I can also cure meats, and I am okay at blacksmithing. So
I guess I would be like a general contractor type where I'm like, well, I can do some of this, I can do some of that, but not everything.
You're on the A team, Bean.
All
right. Aaron can be on the B team once I get settled down and we need a blacksmith.
I know a little bit of blacksmithing.
We don't need Aaron then.
Yeah.
No, he knows more than me.
With other people. All right, what do we move on to next, Nat? What do you think?
Numero duo is upright, the second bottle. Not because it's a bottle, but just because that's the right order to do it in.
Okay.
But what is the order? Like, is there a palette timeline that you're working on?
Of course.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Order of operations. Now, I'm going to give you all a secret because we're all friends here and whatever.
Along with the thousands of people that will download.
Yeah, thousands.
That's fine.
You're going to know something secret about pairings. The secret to a good pairing is 20% knowledge and 80% confidence. So I got the confidence thing taken care of, really, and you can too.
Was I supposed to shake this one a little bit too?
I know. I just
No,
realized
don't shave it. You can give it a little upside down because it's made with Gewürztraminer grapes. So it's gonna have some stuff, and I just wanted to look at it. So I got a little bit of detritus in mine, but it'll be carbonated, so don't give it too much of a give up and go.
Very gentle.
Yeah, trust me, don't do that.
Yeah.
I did it, but I did it correctly.
Because you just did it?
9.5%.
I didn't shake it much, no, but. Whew. Oh yeah, those are totally Gewürztraminer grapes.
So Upright Brewing, for you guys who don't know, is here in Portland. These are all Portland breweries, of course, and Upright is kind of one of the granddaddies of the sort of seventh wave of
like a carbonated white
beer in
wine.
Portland. Is that a bug or a grape seed in mine? Wouldn't be surprised with a bug. So, and they do a lot of spontaneously fermented ales, so they don't add yeast to a lot of their beers, wild fermented or open top fermenter. If you ever go to the pub, if you can get to the tasting room, if you can manage to navigate the labyrinth of hallways to get into Upright, there's in the corner of their brew, very small, it's in the basement. Dumbest idea in the world, putting a brewery in a basement because everything has to come in up and downstairs. But they have a little room in the corner that's got a big glass window, and in there is their fermenter room. And most of what they make is fermented is open top fermented. So it's just a big open vat. They put the sweet beer wort in there, and then it just goes by itself. They do all kinds of really cool fermentations. They're not I wouldn't say this is the most portable format they have, this 375 milliliter bottle, which is like whatever, 12.7 fluid ounces, which is super weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, they don't make anything. They resisted.
That's what that little bump is right there, is the extra 0.7.
Came out of my Upright beer. Wouldn't be surprised. Open fermentation.
I was gonna make that joke, but I didn't want to cut you off earlier.
Yeah. So sour, pretty sour.
Yeah.
The Gewürztraminer grapes. This is in collaboration with Ovum Wines, as if we're supposed to know who Ovum Wines is.
Well, which is funny because the Gewürztraminer wine's usually pretty sweet.
I don't like the name Ovum for a winery.
Sounds like a fish hatchery, maybe, or a
xenomorph. It's about to deposit its ovum into you.
I suppose that makes it less weird. But you say ovum, and I immediately think of a womb and ovarian tubes, and
I just thought of chickens laying eggs. It's the first thing I thought of.
These are all applicable, and that's just where my brain took me, as a woman. And
I wonder if they ferment them in those big eggs, those big fermenting eggs. Maybe those things called?
No,
they're called. What are they called?
The fast ferments?
Kvevery. They're called Kvev. Hold on, Google time.
Wait, are you making shit up?
No,
because we'll believe you.
Kvevery.
So I only did about a third Tepache to this beer. I kind of like it that way.
Yeah, it's either Q or K is the first letter, and then Vevri. Kvevery. It's these giant they're clay pots. They can be various sizes, and they're typically buried underground. It's like alcohol was basically invented in modern alcohol. Controlled fermentation was basically invented in Georgia, not the state, the country.
Right.
I'm sorry. Someone in the chat said, "Do you mean legs?" Which is the legs. It's like an 80s brand of nylons that you like pantyhose. That you could buy, and they came in the little
ovum. It came in an ovum. Yeah.
That's also Star Destroyer engines.
Ovums?
No, the eggs canisters. When they were building the Star Destroyer, the first Star Destroyer models that was used in the movie, the engines are eggs that have been painted and put on the model.
Oh.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's right. Anyway, there you go.
Well, there you go.
By the way, this is 9.2%, so this is not a.
Yeah.
This is a Sharon beer.
For sure.
Who's sharing?
It's definitely tart. I have just a splash more Tepache than beer for this one.
See, and I was the opposite. I actually wanted to keep it tart with a hint of sweetness.
I don't think I'm ready for tart.
Witness?
Sweetness me.
Yeah,
with the Rosenstadt being like such a true neutral type of pilsner.
Totally.
I wasn't ready for extra tart.
Right, and that's the when if you're ever like getting somebody into Tepache, or you're gonna have a little Tepache tasting session, the Rosenstadt is like the baseline lager, and it says on the side of the bottle, it says like, try mixing with a light Mexican lager or Hefeweizen, Kolsch, Wit, Saison. This is the uprights to Saison, but all these sort of lighter bodied beers are a good starting point, or tequila, if that's your
I have done much. I have had many a tequila.
Mezcal in general, you know. So
Why have I never mixed Tepache with tequila?
You have?
I'm pretty sure I've mixed it for you before.
I mean, maybe, but then you know how my memory is bad. But I know for sure I've
but
never
then as
done it
those nights-
myself.
But then, as those nights, if the tequila comes out, the odds of us remembering those nights.
you've done it.
I don't go for tequila, early in the process. Now I'm curious if I
It
have
probably
any.
happened during. It probably happened during D&D night, and half of those nights.
Mm-hmm. No,
It-
totally.
It's the world's easiest Tepache cocktail is a 12-ounce can of light lager, a shot of. I don't like tequila in that case. I like a pretty smoky mezcal to bring some oomph to it, and then top it up with a few ounces of Tepache at that point. So easy, delicious,
Oh man, it sounds classy too.
extremely classy. Drink it with a straw.
Pinkies up.
You could put some ice in it if you want. That's my background there for you, Aaron. Is I got a little wedge of pineapple. You want to have a little backyard party? Get some of this stuff. Cut a wedge of pineapple. Serve it on the side of the glass.
There you go. Sounds good. I also like the bottle.
The forehands.
Upright brew.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this bottle style. Yeah, I know it's kind of dorky to like talk about bottles, but it's fun.
The
What does that-
Belgian-
What does that the bottleneck being that shape do for the beer? Anything?
Yes. It doesn't do anything for the beer. It does something for the pouring process. So this is a Belgian style bottle, and in the same way that they're French fries, they're not actually, but it's just called a Belgian style bottle.
Of course.
And what it actually it's supposed to do, I think it maybe works, is that if you see a bottle, you can tell a lot by the contents you can tell what the contents are of a lot of drinks by the kinds of bottle that is selected. So there's a reason why the Burgundy bottle has got Burgundy inside of it and whatever. I don't know all the wines very well, but the original use of this bottle was when you have a bottle fermented product. So something that has yeast in the bottle, and as you're pouring it, you don't want to just like glug it over, because the yeast can get swirled up and you want to potentially leave the yeast in the bottom of the bottle. And this is like an extra little reservoir. So as it's coming down the body of the bottle, the heavier yeast will usually stay down here in the shoulder. But if it makes it past that, it's got another opportunity to stay right here in this little bulge before it comes all the way out the neck. And even in some really fancy drinking cultures in certain parts of Belgium, when they deliver you a bottle to your table, it comes with a basket that's like that holds the bottle at about this angle. It's like, imagine my fingers are a basket. So they open the bottle, the server opens the bottle for you, puts the bottle gently in this basket, and then you pick up the whole basket and like pour. I guess you can take a bottle too, but you don't ever put it right back up, because you put it back up, everything kind of swirls around again.
Yeah.
Leave it like this. You're
even the act of taking a bottle from upright to pouring, even if you're super gentle, you're still agitating the sediment. That makes sense.
So if you hang out with like super duper beer nerds, and you're doing a bottle share, somebody will bring a bottle of whatever Cantillon, and they'll open it, and then they'll pour it in this person's glass and then this person's glass, and the whole time they're keeping it at this angle and not like trying to tip it as little as possible, keeping it a very steady, continual downward tip the whole time. Try to keep the yeast down at the bottom.
Also, a quick little fun thing to add, because I know that for some reason there's also still a yeast shortage in grocery stores. If you buy something like this that has like bottle fermentation, if you let that yeast settle at the bottom with that little bit of liquid, you can reactivate that yeast and bake with it.
Yeast
You can repurpose the yeast and turn it into whatever you want.
Yeah.
Is there a yeast shortage because everyone's been baking bread?
I think that was it.
Okay.
Like people were just baking bread and
It just
not
has such a
realizing
low
that
demand during normal times
Mhm.
that
I think it's back
it's just
now.
the supply chain. Yeah. Oh yeah, I finally got some. Haven't used it, but I wanted to have it in case I did want it.
Also, you could literally like buy a couple of organic apples and put the skin in some water, and you'll get yeast eventually.
You'll probably
Like,
get some other fun things along with it too.
I'm on some other fun things too, but yeah, there was a story I read of people like, I can't bake bread, there's no yeast, and it was I think it was either a chemist or a biologist just did a Twitter thread of like, look, it's real easy. Yeast is everywhere, like even on you right now.
Everywhere.
You just wash it off all the time.
Ew.
Like you can get yeast from anything, folks. Let me show you how.
Cable. I can see
just
it on
because
you.
you could doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, we're not all Rogue Brewery here.
Ugh, I was going to ask you,
I
like,
still
did
can't
you
bring
ever?
myself to drink that.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
can't.
need it. I don't need someone
I can't-
else's bodily anything
My yeast is
being
my
mixed
yeast for a
into my
reason.
beverages.
I can't do it.
I don't know what this is that you're referencing about Rogue beer, and
They're-
I don't want to.
Oh, okay. I'm sure someone in the chat will say it eventually on our
Rogue
thread.
yeast.
I'm
gross.
sure. I'm
Good.
glad I'm not.
Relatedly,
chat.
though, I know of a guy. He's an internet famous person for his work with plants and like hybridizing and interbreeding, and he will use a single beard hair to cross pollinate his different plants.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that like how they?
Okay.
That's like how they pollinate vanilla. Is it where they look at with like a paintbrush because they're better at they're better using paintbrushes than they are with
It's
bees.
the closest thing to a proboscis that a human has, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what that's called? The
Proboscis.
proboscis?
I like that.
I know it is for butterflies. Like a butterfly, the little thingy that unrolls out of their face is called a proboscis. I don't know if it's the same for all insects.
We're going with it because it's a good word.
Butterfly.
I know.
like that.
If you can fit
We just
proboscis
say
into
proboscis.
regular conversation, I think you should do it.
And we've
So-
done
Yep.
Kavevri and we've done proboscis.
I feel like
So-
proboscis is a Scrabble winning word.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cheeto the Mori eel has a second set of jaws and teeth in the back of its throat.
It has a second set.
Yeah, it's kind of like a xenomorph. It actually has jaws and teeth like back here. So when it goes to bite, like the other jaws come out also. So whatever
Like
it's
a
biting,
xenomorph.
like it's like, yeah.
It's like a Chinese finger trap. It grabs you the whole way down.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think is next?
I think the ruse is next.
Okay.
And, I don't think the ruse is next. Excuse me. I'm sure the ruse is next.
There you go. Because remember, you said fake it till you make it or something.
Yeah.
80% confidence.
So okay, I lied. It's 40% confidence and 40% you just have to have a reason. The 20% helps, the knowledge helps, experience helps, but you can't just be like, because you just got to say what. So we're starting off with light because we wanted to have everybody have the right palate, but we don't want to just go from light to light. So the next lightest one is the Blanca Bavaria Old Town, but we just don't want to go from light to light. We want to use the light ones to break things up a little bit.
Like a palate
So-
cleanser.
Okay.
Upright
Mhm.
it was a strongly flavored beer. I'm pretty sure, having never had this beer, that the Ruse is going to be also a strongly flavored beer, but very different. There's also
Looks like
two.
it's looks like it's going to be a pretty hazy India Pale Ale. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. There's also two guiding principles in pairings. One is complementary, and the other one is opposition. Makes a lot of sense. You want to pair things that are complementary and then speak with a lot of confidence about your pairing because they're complementary, like chocolate and peanut butter. Or you want to, or like if you've got like a smoky something and you've got a smoky something else, you'd be like, oh, I paired them together because they're both smoky.
Mhm.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Or you can do it in opposition and say, I like this because this one is sweet and this one is sour. That's why I paired them together.
Mhm.
Now you two are professionals, pairing professionals.
The same thing happens in graphic design. You either want complementary colors or
Contrasting.
colors.
Contrasting.
I think this can design is my favorite.
Yeah, these. Oh,
That's not the one you said. Ruse, right?
oh shit! I got the wrong ruse.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
he meant he also said Old Town, so he meant the Old Town one.
Oh, okay.
Oh no!
Oh, we're drinking ruse, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Old Town is next. After this.
Okay.
this one, right?
But I have the wrong ruse. But are they any different? I mean, mine's called Phantom Shore. Like,
And
it's
this
probably
one's
the same
called
goddamn
Psychic
beer.
Spirals,
Yeah.
American Style IPA.
Mm.
Yeah, mine's called an extra pale, but I guarantee it's the same thing.
Is your
man,
is your
don't let
can as
Ruse
cool
hear you
as
say
this
that.
one?
I don't know. Take a look. It's got like a wave type of scene.
It's pretty, but not as cool.
No,
I'm
yeah.
really digging
It's
this
a different
and I
can.
look
color
like we're-
palette. Yeah.
Yeah, Bean and I look like we're part of Madame Blavatsky's Theosophical Society.
Yeah, I'm like sort of
Madam, who's what now?
faded
I'll go into it later.
fish
Madame
wreck,
Blavatsky.
shipping wreck.
Your cans also disappear the closer they get to your camera.
I know it's
Yeah, that's
tricky.
why I'm
You have to
feeling my
find the
virtual
correct
background.
angle and distance.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Close to your
Now you
face.
can see that I'm camping.
Close to your
Woo!
face.
All right.
Not glamping.
I also have a hard time picking out my beverages because I put everything in koozies. So now I'm like, which one is which? Who are you? What do you look like? What's your name?
Well, yeah, that was my problem with the ruse is that
Ooh.
I knew I was like, look in my fridge. I knew I had all these in my fridge because I was preparing for this. And I reached in and grabbed the ruse, but it's a different ruse that I picked up from them last week. So whatever. But they are one of those breweries that just makes an
Ooh, this
IPA
is
every
tasty,
week,
though,
and the
on
only
its
thing
own.
they change is
It is
like
very hoppy.
yeah, hops. Like can anybody read their can? I would read it to you, but I can't because I don't have that can.
We're loaded up with a couple of our juicy favorites. El Dorado and Mosaic compose intense notes of candied pineapple and dank stone fruit in this
There you
contemporary
go.
concoction.
Dank.
Dank.
Stone fruit.
Dank.
That just sounds like you forgot to take advantage of your fruit bowl for way too long.
Yeah.
Which is
Well-
something I'm extremely guilty of.
This is what they did.
How
They
much
just
did it
they
count?
just put a fruit bowl into their beer.
1,000.
They don't actually add any fruit to these beers. They just use these crazy hops that have really bonkers flavors and bring it all together. I like putting Tepache with IPAs, hazy IPAs or regular IPAs, because sometimes they can be there's some bitterness that a lot of people don't like. Even fairly experienced and mature drinkers don't always like a lot of IPAs, and that because of that bitterness level, even if it's a hazy or not. And Tepache can kind of the sweetness of Tepache can kind of balance out some of that bitterness on your palate. So
Right.
makes everything taste better.
Yeah. I tried not to do too much Tepache because I do want to still taste the hops, even though I'm not a big hops fan. This is just right.
Yeah, it's important. Give it like an ounce at a time, and then
Yeah, I only went up to the line, but I would say it's right at about 50-50 on the
Yeah.
ratio.
I went 50-50 on mine, and I really like it. I think it's a nice balance.
I'm at about 50-50. Yeah.
Probably should have picked something with a bit more even shape, but
It's almost kind of like it's almost like a sweeter version or a tropical version of your Shoot the Glass, your hopped cider.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's got all that fruitiness
But I think
in there, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of hop character. Yeah.
It's also thick. You know, you got a juicy IPA, you've got Tepache, which has already kind of got some stuff in it. So it's a thick drink, is what you know. That's not a bad thing, but you can definitely feel it.
Yeah, it's good. I
want
I'm
to get
pro
all
ice
and
by
be
the
like,
way.
oh, it's got a mouthfeel.
Yeah, well, that's thick. I'm pro ice. If anybody's ever feeling like they want to put ice in Tepache, I'm 100% with it. Like, you do you. But this could be one that would be fun with ice to be like chill it out and be good.
Nice.
Or a wedge of blackened pineapple on the side.
Classy that way. Blackened.
I will.
pineapple?
I'm gonna give a little shout out to my friend Chris, who owns a bar down on Foster. We didn't make very much straight Tepache this year. We made a lot of the Tepache rather cans, but the bottles that we're drinking now, we were making our Tepache plans at the beginning of the coronavirus. So everything, I don't know if you guys remember, it was like 2 years ago, but everybody's for like a period of like a week and a half, everyone's lives were like, what? And that was when we were making our Tepache decisions, and we decided to make less Tepache than normal. So now things roll around, and we probably should have made the opposite decision and made more. Everybody's just sitting home drinking. So I only had a couple of extra cases of the straight Tepache, and I sold them to Barrio, which is the little micro bar in Portland Mercado on Foster.
It is a wonderful, wonderful little bar.
What are they? Foster
Yeah.
and like 65th or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And in the Mercado, kind of in the front of the Mercado, on the inside part, not the food cart part. And Chris there, the owner, proprietor, barman, he's
such a good
Tepache
guy.
He's been such a huge Tepache fan for every year, and we don't really sell much Tepache. We don't sell kegs to anybody but him. So he's the only place you can get Tepache, straight Tepache in North America. America. Sorry, I was thinking, you could go to Mexico and get it. Is at Barrio. We don't even have any ourselves. You have to buy it from us in this kit form. But Chris has it down at the Barrio.
I will also add, if you go to Barrio, he makes his own michelada mixture.
Yes.
And it's delicious.
Yes.
And then he will tailor the heat to however you want it.
Yeah, and it goes great with Tepache. He does a Tepache blend. He'll do the Pacifico with it a lot of times. I think he has Modelo on tap all the time. So some Tepache, Modelo, and the michelada salt's like super killer. And he doesn't do bottles to go because he's into community, baby. So you can sit outside on the patio there and drink some Tepache if you want to have some direct. But
yeah. And one of my fondest memories of that place was, I think, a couple years ago, because of course the Portland Mercado was streaming the World Cup. Although actually it might have been the America's Cup, the one that's just it's just the Western Hemisphere teams. And I want to say it was like Colombia versus Argentina. And just like his bar was clearly Team Colombia, and the rest of the Mercado was Team Argentina, and Colombia was winning. But one of the TVs was on like a 3-second delay.
Oh,
so it was great. It was great to hear, like, you'd hear like, no, and like, oh, what's coming? No, yeah, it was pretty great to hang out during all the football matches in that place. So, and also whenever you can, if you are a soccer fan, you owe it to yourself to go watch soccer in Barrio at the Mercado, because it's a whole nother experience watching soccer with a bunch of brown people. That changes your experience when you watch that game.
And there's all that great food, so all these food carts lined up there. And then there's if you're on there one of those lucky days when the little tienda is doing tacos, you can get them in. Yeah, just such a good place to be.
Sorry, your shirt made me chuckle.
A birthday gift.
What is Cabrona?
There's no direct translation. It's sort of like calling someone a shithead, or like
Cabrona Pero together, or just the Cabrona part?
Yeah. So like this shirt basically says like asshole but cute.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Can I have one? Yeah.
I think this one was custom made. What's your shirt size? Maybe I'll loan it to you.
Bigger than me. I'll crop top it.
Yeah. This was. I would want to see that.
I might pay money for that, actually.
Sure.
The first night we can all go out, we'll give them the crop top version of that shirt.
Well, you have hoodies, right? You've got Rubber Nats hoodies.
We're low on hoodies.
You have your own one, right? Surely you have one of your own.
I own a couple myself. Yeah.
You take one and turn that into a crop top. Nothing says thought like a crop top hoodie.
Really?
Also,
What would
Bean,
that
don't call
be?
him Shirley.
I mean, you got the zipper like halfway up.
Well, no, the whole hoodie, like the whole the torso part
non-zipped.
of.
Pullover.
Either way is fine.
I'll
But
do
like the point is the same as any crop top, is that the torso stops,
Yeah.
halfway down.
Yeah, I'll do that. Long arms, big puffy hood.
Mhm.
Most of my beer gut hanging out. Yep.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I'll make sure I'll send you pictures, Denise. Just
All right.
you.
What are we moving on to next year?
B&B, Blanken, Bavaria. Old Town.
He's in order.
Digging into my
Old
bag.
Town.
Old Town. So it's
I'm
got
still
this.
on my first bottle of Tepache, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
I've been okay.
I
I
think
want
it's
to make
okay.
sure I wasn't screwing it up.
No,
I know
I think
how these usually go. Is like we sample everything, and then after that's done, we still have more show to do. So that's when you kind of
yeah.
Oh no, I meant
keep
like
enjoying.
the rate. I meant the ratios.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not drinking every bottle of the beer either, so I kind of put the kit together as a 2-person. No offense to those of you out there who are just crushing all the way through it, but
I mean, I'm gonna have to.
I mean, good for you. God bless.
I kind of put it together thinking you could share it, but you don't have to share it. It's totally fine.
But you don't hear her, but in the background, my lovely bride, about every 5 minutes, pops her head in and says, "Another one," and she grabs the beer that I haven't drank, that I haven't finished.
Oh no!
So-
but that means that once all of the sampling is over, you won't have your pick of what to like full on have, right? Because that's what you do at a 1,000 Tepaches type event. You taste everything, and eventually you're like, all right, now that I've tasted everything, I'm gonna go back for full glasses of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
true, but so far the only one that I would kill more of is the Rosenstadt Lager, and I have some of that at home already, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
That being said, of the 3 that are next, if there's one that I can't part with, I'll just move it aside.
Hide it.
Plus, right now she
Further away
has.
from the door.
Plus, right now she has that beer made with a Gewürztraminer, and that's 9.2%.
That'll take you a minute to get through.
Yeah. Right.
And see, I live with a teetotaler, so all of this is for me, and they're all open now.
Drink
so.
up. Well, at least you're home.
And I know Merrick. She's more of a dark beer person, so this may not be her jam.
She is. That's why I'm curtailing how much I'm doing this evening.
Yeah. Totally.
But,
Well, so you can also, if you're a solo drinker, open the bottle of Tepache, drink 2 beers with your, do 2 pairings a night. The Tepache, you probably won't get through the whole bottle of Tepache, but there's no carbonation in Tepache. So stick a cork, just go to your cork drawer, wherever, and find a cork that'll fit. You'll find one that fits. There's a couple of sizes of corks in the world, but this is a fairly standard one. Plunk it in there, stick it in your fridge. You've got a week, 2 weeks on the outset to get back into that bottle of Tepache. So it's definitely,
Nice.
You can definitely do this, by yourself over the course of a couple of days or even a couple of weeks if you want to come back to it. So
2 things. A, I love that you assume that everyone has a cork drawer.
well, I mean, I have like a cork jar, giant jar, but
And 2, something that I've done in the past is if I can't finish something, but I definitely don't want it to go flat and go to waste, I will put it in the best sized jar, like canning jar, for the amount of liquid that I have, seal that off and stick it in the fridge.
Totally. So this is a 22-ounce bottle of Tepache. Let's say you get halfway through it, find yourself a pint jar in your cabinet or whatever. Again, no carbonation. Pour it in there. Put the lid on. Stick it in your fridge. You're all set. Yeah. Put it in
Speaking
a
of
water
these
bottle.
bottles.
Doesn't matter.
Speaking of these bottles, now I'm curious. Do you know why this size bottle was called a bomber?
No. Although,
Okay.
we're all trying to get better in our lives, and I wonder if the word bomber has some sort of bad connotation.
I feel like
curious.
half the slang we use probably had something horrible in the background.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I was actually going to make, when I was writing the copy for this Night of 1,000, I excluded the word bomber from that conversation because there's got to be something about that word.
And 22 ounces is such an odd size.
I don't know.
It's not a pint. It's not an imperial pint. It's just.
Yeah.
It's not close. It's not even close to 500 milliliters.
It's a relatively modern size. It probably didn't exist in the same capacity that it exists now, like in the 50s or 60s. It probably is a relatively modern size.
So now we're on to Old Town's Blanc and Bavaria.
Blanc et Bavaria. Yeah. New wave lager, they call it. Sort of a little bit of a hoppier lager. It's got connotations of Rosenstadt, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna call out the guy who makes this beer, particularly because he is antisocial. But he won't mind that I called him antisocial because he acknowledges it. His name is Andrew, and he's the brewer at Old Town. And for those of you who've been playing along with the Reverend Nat's home delivery game for a little while, you know that we've been selling Old Town beer since the beginning, along with our ciders. And I think they're the most. I continue to think they're the most I'm doing such a bad job promoting them, but they remain the most underrated brewery in city of Portland.
I've been praising them for a while now since you kind of got me on the Old Town train.
It's such a good beer, and it's so low hype. I won't say anti-hype, but low hype, which I like that. I don't like hype beer so much. But Andrew, the reason that they're able to make fantastic classic German styles, Pilsner is really good. Their award-winning Shanghai IPA is one of the most awarded beers in Oregon, probably top 5 most awarded beers in Oregon. Is because he worked for many years as the head R&D brewer at Sam Adams, like the giant quote unquote craft brewery. And when you're the head R&D brewer for a giant brewery like that, you make 250 beers a year probably. And so I've
heard people like give Sam Adams beer like shit for, they've sold out, whatever your opinions on are fine, but
yeah,
they also don't make a bad beer. Like,
no, exactly. They don't make anything that's not the number 1 best ever, but they make everything that's the number 2 best ever.
I mean, consistency is good. Consistency has its merits. Real quick, Ken in the chat, our friend Ken, says that bomber is a reference to the B-22 bomber from World War II. I actually was just Googling and looking for a couple different answers. And the general consensus is that people aren't really sure where the term comes from, but that it predates World War II. People just tend to think, like the most common belief is that it's a reference to the bomber.
I do like, I think Cable put in the chat, other beer historians cite the possibility of the term coming from the word bumper, bottle terminology brought from England, where it was used generally to any beer bottle larger than a normal serving. I'm not calling bullshit on you, Caleb. I'm calling bullshit on that post because unless I don't the Cable
like a bumper crop. Almost?
But in England, 23-ounce pour is a standard pint.
Wait, that's an imperial pint. Is a 23-ounce pour?
In a lot of pubs, they have 23-ounce glasses. So I don't know where the 22 is.
That's weird.
They have the 19s, which is the no-nick pint, but that's like.
Well, it's like I'd always heard the rumor that the reason why growlers are called growlers is because the back of old tap systems, when you used to bring in your jar, it was the sound that the tap made as it was being filled. It would go because it would lose pressure as it was dumping more and more without it being kind of reset.
You're pouring so much at a time.
You're pouring so much that it was losing gas without being reset. So at the end, it would go, and they called them growlers.
I heard that it was growler because as you're walking the pail home, it would growl because of the carbonation escaping. I don't know.
Oh,
and Zach says
I like either of these, really.
And Zach says that basically it's the same thing as the way people tap a pack of cigarettes, which by which I assume he means the meaning is not even relevant anymore. It's like just an outdated concept that doesn't apply to current.
All right. Well, so I guess we're allowed to keep calling it a bomber.
Yes.
Cool. For now.
But it's also a 22-ounce. Like when I go to coffee places, I just order a 12-ounce Americano, please, because I don't ever know what they're going to call their various sizes.
So, yeah. Thanks a lot, Starbucks.
This is a 22.
So this Blanc and Bavaria, I went 50-50, and I'm pretty happy with it.
I did too, and that felt quite right to me. So.
Yeah, I think it's got a little more flavor than the Rosenstadt. Maybe it's not as nuanced. It's a little bit more of a brutalistic beer than, definitely not brutal, but a little bit more in your face than the Rosenstadt.
Right. Like basically the ruse wanted to get a little bit more complex in like how many
Yeah.
flavors are being
So many
included.
flavors. Yeah.
But the Old Town is just up straight up and a little more assertive in
Yeah.
the fewer notes
Absolutely.
of flavor that it
Absolutely.
has. So.
You know, one thing I like to piece of terminology that I like to use when I'm talking about beer primarily and flavor in general is the concept of volume. And I don't hear people use this word very often when they're talking about flavors. And I think it's a really useful terminology because like the difference between a lot of these beers are the flavors that are being presented, which may be considered to be the notes that are being played. But how loud is it? How impactful is it in your mouth, or how delicate and subtle? It may be a ton of complexity in there, but it's very, very low volume. And I think the Rosenstadt, for instance, is a very low volume beer. It has a lot going on, but if you can't really listen to it really, really carefully, you might not hear or taste some of the flavors that are in there. But there is a lot of complexity in the Rosenstadt. And I actually think there's less complexity in the Blanken Bavaria, but it's a louder beer. So what's there is more, it's easier to like, oh, I can pick this out and this out and this out. It's all there. But there's less ultimate complexity there. That may be, everybody's palate's different. Unlike eyesight and hearing and touch, which everybody shares far more commonality than smell and taste, which are totally subjective and totally independent.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's totally weird how we got five senses and one of them is a total joke.
One of them is just an asshole.
Yeah.
I will say really quickly back to Old Town. I'm not like the biggest IPA fan. That being said, I've never had a bad beer from Old Town.
Yeah.
I've had beers that aren't my style, and I can acknowledge that, but also know that it's really fucking well made.
Yeah. They make that Shanghai that I mentioned. They make their Pilsner, which is super highly regarded. And then they make these hazy IPAs. They have this rotating series of hazy IPAs, which are super trendy, and they're really good beers.
That Haze of Our Lives was magical.
Did you get the new one that we just posted? The purple one that we just posted on the website?
Ooh.
I haven't had that one
There's
yet.
a new one?
What's it called?
I'll have to order it.
They use all these like soap opera names. I can't remember. It's a purple color, Haze of Our Lives.
That's funny.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blanc and Bavaria. It's got Mandarina Bavaria hops and Hallertauer Blanc hops, both pretty classic German hops. I'm pretty sure these are Oregon grown hops, whereas the Rosenstadt is literally hops and grain imported from Germany. So there's just something about growing stuff here versus there that you can't recreate.
Hallertauer hops are some of my favorite that I brew with. So there you go.
Whereas I've never really been a big Hallertauer fan because I don't drink them out. Oregon grown Hallertauers, I guess, are not my favorite hop, but German Hallertauers or Czech Hallertauers are probably far better.
I usually get the Czech ones.
Yeah. You can get them at the Steinbarts?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, freeze-dried pellets, but yeah.
No, it should be good, as long as it's within the last 6 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm. One of the oldest homebrew shops in the country.
Yeah, survived the prohibition.
They did by selling freeze-dried raisins with sugar and a note that says, "Warning: do not add this with water.
Do not store in a warm cabinet." Yeah.
A practice that still rings true today.
It's illegal to make homebrew in Japan. I'm not like an authority of countries around the world, but I'm a bit of a Japanophile.
Really?
Sinophile? What's the word? Illegal homebrewing. Yeah. Unenforced.
Really?
But I had a little sort of freebie
consulting
gig I did last week. Yeah, and the guy was like, "I've been doing a lot of homebrewing, but don't tell the government." Ha ha. And I'm like, all right,
I'm gonna say for a country that's got such a quickly growing craft beer industry, it seems like I bet you there's a lot of homebrewers in Japan.
I think it's just a tax thing. They want to make this. They don't want people making their own stuff without taxation.
I've told people, I said Japan is what like America was in the early '90s in terms of the craft brew industry.
Totally.
They're ramping up fast.
A bunch of bad beer being made. Yeah.
Yes, but
to get the good ones.
There are some amazing ones. Yeah. And the improvements are like really fast. You know, every year the beer gets better there. Like notice across the board, every year the beer gets better there. Yeah.
And by the way, if you're in Japan, you're a little tiny kind of craft brewery. If you tell them you're from Portland, they won't charge you anymore. They'll just pour you everything.
Your money's not any good anymore. Yeah.
Your money's not good. They can't wait to pour you beers and show off their beer. You're from Portland? They want to pour everything for you.
And it may be cheesy, but buy a pair of those Portland Airport socks before you go to Japan.
I was gonna say, like, cut to me, like, accidentally packing nothing but like T-shirts that have Portland and Portland
totally.
concepts emblazoned all
totally
over them.
It. Yeah,
I would actually go one further, buy several pairs of them, and use them as omiyagi whenever you do that.
Good idea. Yeah,
that is an excellent idea.
It's flat. It packs well. Relatively inexpensive.
Yep.
It's not too expensive there that they feel compelled to like keep going with you back and forth. So good one.
My grandparents.
There's actually a side
wherever
street,
they are in the
afterlife
are very happy that I mentioned that.
I'll take that, Cable. Usually when I go, I try to bring like bottles of stuff, but the socks is a much better idea.
Wait, Cable, I couldn't hear, but I really want to know what it was you were saying about your grandparents.
I said, somewhere in wherever the afterlife is that my grandparents are, they were like, he remembered omiyagi. Good.
Yeah. We raised him well.
Yeah.
That's great.
I forgot. Go ahead.
Oh, I was like, that's great because usually when I speak Spanish around the house, which is rare because I don't have any other fluent Spanish speakers, it's at my pets, and I'm usually swearing at them. So if you're only going to occasionally use your heritage language, like once in a while, then I think, Cable, you're doing the better job of it.
It's good because when I try to practice mine around Bean, she just makes fun of me.
I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't discourage you.
Isn't her default just to make fun of you?
Right. I mean, she makes fun of me when I speak English. So
that's not true.
Look what your shirt says.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm correcting you, and that is my default.
Yeah,
that is her default. All right, we got 2 left.
Okay, we're saving the best for last. Well, I don't know about that. I want to do the Mary Dankster Great Notion.
I was definitely interested in this one. Just because
I will admit, this one has me.
So...
This one has me concerned.
Yeah, me too.
Because if I see the words double, it just looks like a can that I would buy at a Fish concert. And if anyone knows me, knows I would never be seen dead at a Fish concert.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Double India Pale Ale. So
I know. Yep. I was.
And you guys have to notice. On the top for mine, you're up in the shoulder here. There's some printing. It'll say.
Mine says what a trip it's been. What a trip it's been.
Is this the canning date then?
Yeah, 6/26. So this was I
thought that was a 5.
We were able to sell this really quickly after canning for sure, which is kind of the deal with a lot of these hype beers. I just said I don't like hype, but. Hype beers, but these guys are friends of mine. If you guys know Great Notion, I'm like a very good predictor of future brewery success. I knew James, the main brewer, before he opened Great Notion, and I was like, don't do it. Don't start a brewery. Don't do that. And Great Notion subsequently became the most hypey brewery in Portland. Is that fair? I think it's fair.
That seems fair.
Is that why you tell me not to do it?
Don't do it, Aaron.
He doesn't want the competition.
You'll be just like Great Notion.
That is extremely hoppy.
Yeah.
I actually still have the post-it from the last time, Nat, you were actually able to hang out at my house. I actually have the post-it where you wrote on there, "This beer is great. Don't open a brewery."
Yeah.
I don't remember what the beer was. You just went like, "Ah."
Nice.
It's like the better the beer is, the less you should make a business out of it.
I'm sure that Nat's like his intent is somewhere along the lines of like, a comics kid, they'll break your heart, and the correction of the phrase, "If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life," where it's actually crossed out and says, when you love what you do for work, you'll never enjoy it again and work constantly and have nothing but stress and anxiety and financial concerns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I do like the idea though of Nat West being the Jack Kirby of brewing.
Pretty much.
They also both enjoy punching Nazis, so there's also that.
Can't wait.
Oh, there you go. See, the parallels are already there.
So what is his cider version of the Kirby Crackle?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Kirby Crackle was
Maybe-
game changing, right? It was this like unique thing that no one else was doing, and it became the standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I would assume that's the Tepache. A lot of places are doing cider. It got popular again.
Yeah, like different, like in the same world, but really different, right? Yep. Either that or
I'm not gonna lie.
I wouldn't Hellfire, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I just smelled Mary Drankster, and I haven't drank it yet, and I know it won't taste this way.
Yeah,
but it's got a nose to it.
Dank. So the
That's
concept
one way
of
to call it.
the concept of
It
dank,
kind of smells like a cow patty to me. No offense to you fine folks at Great Ocean, but I just drove past Tillamook, and it's a really similar aroma.
Yeah,
I don't think the folks at Great Notion are going to take offense. Making strange and unusual beers is kind of their thing.
yeah,
and you have to respect that, whether even if it's not for you, as long as they're doing good works in the community or whatever.
Like I still have 3 tall boys of double jammy pants in my fridge right now.
Double jammy pants sounds like you've got a problem, friend.
Well, it's twice as good as jammy pants.
Right, exactly. It's a double-sized jammy. I'll go.
Yeah, you have twice as many jammy pants.
Yeah.
Nope. I cannot abide by this.
They the best part about these beers that Great Notion makes is that, or best part or whatever, most notable part is that they sell out of everything like really quickly, and most of the beers that they make, almost all the beers that they make, are one-time make only. So Mary Dankster had never been made before and never will be made again. They have a couple of go-tos, their Juice and the Juice Junior and stuff.
Oh, here we go. One listener.
This is the extra large jammy pants.
Yeah.
Is that a little gnome?
It's a dude.
Oh, it's a dude. I don't know. There was something gnomish about him. And those are his pants. His pants full of jam. Okay, so one listener is saying Great Notion might be the hottest brewery in PDX right now, but there are better breweries in PDX. In my honest opinion. Yeah. But also, another listener, actually not, but also a different listener says that the Dankster is the pizza cutter of beer. It's all edge. And Bex, I'm inclined to agree because it's just, it's like cutting my mouth up with hops.
Yeah.
Hop razors.
Well, so the 95,000 Tepaches kit, 95,000 in general, Reverend Nats, back way up here. Reverend Nats we are a very beer aligned cidery. We do tons of collaborations with breweries. I've done like 2 collaborations with cideries ever. We do multiple events, not just 95,000 that partner with breweries. There are regularly beer only events where we are the cider exception. You go to a lot of brewery tap rooms and the guest cider is Reverend Nats. So we're heavily aligned with the beer industry. And so the 95,000 Tepaches is an extension of that, or maybe an exclamation of that in a lot of ways.
Because it relies on breweries in order to exist.
Yeah, and it relies on beer drinkers. So this is, in a lot of ways, Tepache. I can't tell you how many times I meet people who are firmly in the beer industry around the country, around the world, and they say, "Oh, I love your Tepache." They don't talk about Viva la Pineapple or whatever. The beer community really loves Tepache, has embraced Tepache as a beer accoutrement. So
accompaniment.
These beers that I selected, that I worked with these folks to select, are really representative of what's happening in the Portland beer community overall. They're not necessarily my favorite beers by any means, but they're a representation of the variety of pairings that you can do with Tepache and an example of what's happening in the beer overall beer community right now.
Would you say that Portland is still kind of leading, or one of the leaders in craft brewing in the country right now?
Yeah, the city of Portland has lost a lot of luster in the last 20 or 30 years in a lot of ways, but beer is not one of the ways that we have stepped back. I know when I travel internationally, I lead with Portland. Nationally and internationally, I lead with the fact that I'm from Portland. I rely on that as a bit of credentials, more so than my cider even. So for sure.
So with the Mary Dankster, I kind of went 2/3 Tepache, 1/3 Dankster.
Yeah. I just did the crazy thing of adding the last little one finger of my Rosenstadt bottle to this Dankster and Tepache.
Yeah,
I should have done that, but my wife took Rosenstadt from me.
Yeah. I was like, I know that my instinct was to like drown out that much hoppiness and bitterness with Tepache, but I'm like, well, that's just cheating. You're defeating the purpose now.
No. So the purpose is to enjoy yourself, Bean. That's the goal of life. How about some of the forehands mixed in with the Dankster?
Oh, together.
Yeah.
Wait, just forehands and Dankster, or also Tepache?
Tepache, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Okay,
that's what I would do.
Okay.
Damn it! I shouldn't have let my wife take my other beers away.
Let's just blame everything on her, Aaron.
Okay, I think that's about 1/1.
The one time I can. Normally, it's not.
Well, no. So what I was saying is like I wanted to drown out the Dankster just because I just don't like it, but I didn't want to like, I don't know, do it a disservice in the mixing concept. So I went like half and half, and I'm still not loving it. So here's the 1/1.
It's important to take a taste and then realize you don't like it and then adjust. But you should take a taste and then realize you don't just go for what you know you're gonna love.
That's fantastic. Because now you've got that
1/3,
like,
yeah.
Let me double read this guy. There's more citrus in this, huh?
In the forehands?
Oh no, it's the one with the grapes.
Grapes,
okay.
Exactly.
But now you've got the bitter, the sweet, and the tart.
Right. Exactly.
And that's a nice mix. I do enjoy that three-way.
This forehands. So just to talk a little bit about value, I was trying to price this thing, and I was looking up the various prices for these forehands, and Alex at Upright gave me a huge deal on these Upright bottles because I don't want any bigger bottles. This is like a $12 bottle in the stores, this forehands.
Wow.
Thankfully the Rosenstadt was a little bit less expensive. Kind of came all together, but it's a pretty high-end beer for sure. That's the kind of beers that makes these really crafty high-end beers.
Just want to say, by the way, when you listen to this podcast, and if you go onto RevNat's site, and if the Tepache gift set is still available, it's probably one of the best deals out there ever.
Yeah. So it's not a lot of money for how much booze I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. And really designed for two people, as I mentioned.
Yeah, I had at least two coworkers. I forwarded the email to them. They're like, "Bought my box."
Yeah, we're about halfway through. We made 160 kits, and when I checked before the session started here, we were at about 75 kits.
Nice.
Yeah, our friend Ken sent me a text, and he's like, "I live in Vancouver. Can I just send it to your place and I'll come get it?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine, man."
Totally.
And I should say it's not just a great value necessarily, but it's also an expertly curated selection. And I maybe not everybody needs that. Some people are enough of like beer and cider connoisseurs that they know what they're doing. They don't need your help. But if you're not, or if you just want to like hand over the reins and just enjoy it, that should definitely be a factor in considering this kit.
Well, and the curation, I won't take too much credit for it because I have worked with all these breweries in the past for the Night of 1,000. So it wasn't me like, sniffing corks and swirling with my pinky out. It was me talking to these brewers and saying, this thing you did 2 years ago, this thing you did 3 years ago, this thing you did last year. What are you going to do this year? And I did keep a little spreadsheet, like the light beers are taken. You can't have any more light beers. So we make sure we got some of the different boxes checked, but it's just been really, really amazing. To your point, Aaron, like is Portland still this great, the greatest craft beer community in United States? Yes. And I think it's, things like Tepache have been super thankful that it's been embraced by that community, and every brewery in the city of Portland knows what Tepache is and has done a pairing with it already. I've essentially done, dozens of collaborations just around Tepache over the years.
I mean, The only thing you're missing is a really good mead, but I'm not there to bring it. So,
Well, mead and Tepache sounds like too much. I know you're actually just trying to fuck with Nat right now, but mead and Tepache together, I don't know.
I brought it last time, and that mead got destroyed. It got drank so fast.
Destroyed or drank?
Drank.
Okay.
You monster.
Just checking on that.
Don't give him any ideas.
Actually, I think the thing I brought to the night last time was my the Drink Deliciously cider. That and the tamarind cider.
Tamarind is so good, Aaron.
Oh, the tamarind.
I got to make that one again. I love that tamarind one.
By the way, I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat that St Citron is like people's favorites of your ciders, Nat. And I admit, it was not my favorite at first. I don't know.
Recipe changed, Bean.
It's definitely changed. It's one of my go-tos now. But at first I was like, it's good, but it wouldn't be my first choice.
So for the I'm gonna try to find some place for the St. Citron fans out there. There is a Thai place on Sandy. I'm Google mapping it right now.
Is it Chaba Thai or Thai Seasons?
No, neither one. Mika.
Oh,
Mika?
yeah,
Okay.
that's
Not
that
Thai,
big one.
Vietnamese. Mika. It's got all the glass on front.
Yeah, and they have a big old parking lot.
Yeah, Mika. So yeah, that's it, Mika. So they have a the inspiration for St. Citron was from a drink that I had at Mika, MEKHA, on the corner of Sandy and
I want to say it's like 60 something.
69th. They have a salted kumquat drink, non-alcoholic, that is just a crazy, talk about volume. There's 2 ingredients in here, so not complex, but the volume is like 4 million. It's crazy the amount of flavor they pack into this thing. And they salt cure kumquats, chop up the kumquats, like kind of dice them up, pack them in salt, and then forget about it. You can that's done at that point for 100 years. Those kumquats could stay in that thing. And then when you order it, they scoop out some of this salted kumquat chunks. It's not goo. It's just dryish. Put it in your glass. Put some simple syrup in there. Soda water, ice. You're out the door. First time I had this thing, I was just blown away. They also make one on the menu that's like a lime one, maybe, or a lemon one. Don't get that one. Just get the kumquat one. And
nice.
I was amazed by this. And at that point, I did a ton of research into citrus because the world of citrus is like really weird. Citrus fruits are not like any other fruits out there. We could spend a lot of time. It's a different.
Yeah, you went down this
talking
rabbit
about.
hole once before.
It's like citrus fruits are super weird, like taxonomically and historically and stuff like that.
And they're like one of the oldest fruits they can trace, right? Isn't it that weird?
Yeah. If for some reason the science has worked out that they can track it's far easier to track the heritage, I don't know, history, life, or whatever.
We've been drinking
citrus fruits.
Heritage is fine.
Yeah. Well, heritage sort of implies intelligence. I don't know. So anyway, citrus done. St. Citron done.
I always tell people that St. Citron is basically like drinking summer.
Yeah.
It's very summery.
It's good for you. It's got salt in it.
Yeah.
Cats like St. Citron too. My cat does.
All right, we got to move on. Are we going to move on to the last one?
Last one.
Now, did you save the best for last, or was it just terms of like taste choice?
Taste choice. So this is the other than the Rosenstadt, which I drink a lot of by itself. This is the only other one that I'd had out of the kit. I did some selecting 2 weeks ago when we were doing it, but sitting down and doing the whole
This sounds
pairing,
complex, by the way.
It's got a lot of stuff. So this beer is kind of hot right now. Von Ebert is a brewery that is operating out of the former Fatheads space in the Pearl.
Yeah,
they kind of
I dig Von Ebert.
It's basically the same team, but they shed the corporate overlord of fatheads, and now they're running their own business. They also have a food cart somewhere, and they have a spot on the Glendoveer golf course on like Halsey and 1 millionth or something.
Smells like raspberry.
Yeah, so this is like a lightly soured. If you're like sour beer, you'll like this one. If you're not sure if you like sour beer, you'll probably like this one because it's not very sour. But raspberries, strawberries, and coriander's light. I wouldn't go call it a coriander beer by any means, but super good.
But the
fruit
berries
things.
right on the nose, though. The moment you smell it, the berries there.
Yeah. A little funk of sulfur in the can as soon as I opened it.
I'm more
A little bit, but that comes with the fruit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited to try this.
So my coworker Brad was like, "Oh, you got to get the Drink Me potion from Von Ebert." So when I reached out to them a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Do you have any Drink Me potion?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was initially hesitant to not do a Drink Me potion because I'm like super anti J.K. Rowling right now. But I think this is more like Alice in Wonderland than
Drink Me is Alice in Wonderland.
It's Alice.
Right.
It's Alice in Wonderland.
But the font's a
Not
little Harry
that I don't
Potter.
have my doubts about C.S. Lewis, but whatever.
That guy's super dead, so it was a little bit less of an impact.
And C.S. Lewis was trying.
He wasn't. Well, I guess I was gonna say he wasn't hiding, but J.K. ain't hiding either. So
I will always give C.S. Lewis some credit in that he was also open to having his mind changed.
yeah.
Rowling clearly not.
I'm just suspicious of his relationship with the girl that he wrote Alice in Wonderland for/about.
That's not C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, that's
You're thinking of
Lewis Carroll.
That's Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lewis
Through the Looking Glass.
Right. C.S.
did Narnia.
Right. Oh, that's why, because I recently listened to that as a audiobook to help me sleep.
Yeah.
Wrong.
C.S.
So
Lewis
the weird thing about
with Tolkien.
the weird thing about C.S. Lewis is that he started as an atheist, and someone challenged him to research that, and it actually did the exact opposite. He became a Christian.
Possible.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was
It's just kind of where he came down, but he also had like a weird connection to it. He wasn't. There was nothing like fundamental. Like he ended up writing a bunch of like books about basically like Satan complaining to God, being like, you gave these people all these things, but then you were kind of a dick to them. So he became religious in his final years, but found the church incredibly problematic and angering.
Well,
it was
a big
weird.
difference between being a Christian and being a churchgoer. So
Yeah, no, when he discovered religion, it became very personal to him, but he actually had very little faith in the church.
Sure, which is wise, I guess.
It's kind of fascinating. His story is kind of interesting.
Well,
but this one though,
Drink Me potion as a standalone.
Yeah,
is
great beer.
Definitely my favorite. I mean,
It's
I
such
love
a cool beer.
I love anything that has like sour berry business.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit.
I don't get the
Little
coriander,
tiny
and granted, maybe
No
because
coriander.
It's very, very, very,
Well, this
very,
is
very
also-
mild.
well, maybe if also this was the first thing I drank, I might notice it. I fully admit that after these drinks here, my palate's a little numb.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's why I did
Oh.
that. That's the
I don't
confidence.
smell it either.
That's the confidence of putting this at the end. This is a high volume beer, right? The flavors that what is in there? I don't know, a couple of berries, right? But it's just pow. It's like juicy jelly
You can
jam.
Smell how
Yeah,
fruity
super intense, high
and
volume
tart
thing.
it
Yeah.
is. Right.
If
When
you're
you
doing the
open it.
pairings,
But
you finish with a high volume thing for sure.
but
But it's not too tart. You get more fruit
Oh.
than just tart.
Yeah, it's like
Yep.
fruit tart, not like
Tart,
it's like
tart.
sour. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't always want like a super sour beer or just like
Yeah.
sour for the sake of sourness. Like no,
I
it
would-
still needs
I would
to
almost-
taste good.
I would almost not call this a sour beer. I would call it like a well, they didn't call it a sour beer. No, they called it a
It's called
tart
ale.
ale.
they
Which-
call it a
Yeah.
tart. It's not a sour.
Yeah.
Mhm,
They don't
mhm.
list what kind of yeast they use, but it's not a sour.
But I would say that this is less tart than the one with the grapes. The Four Hands. The Four Hands was pretty fucking tart.
Aaron, I don't think this is sour. Speaking of brewing science, I don't drink it by itself.
I
It
don't
doesn't
think it's a
taste like
sour.
there's no kettle souring, nothing.
Sorry, I know we keep throwing sour in there, but I'm pretty sure we all mean tart.
No, but
Yeah, no, they're all the same. All the same word. Yeah. I think this is
no,
just
I agree.
I think this is just
It's just
pH. Yeah.
I mean, I like it so much that this is my lowest ratio of Tepache. This is two beer to 1 Tepache.
Totally. You could go 85% beer with a splash of Tepache in there.
And and it's lovely. It's a really nice
And I will
mix.
add, if you take a drink, if you have the drinking potion, and then don't drink anything else for like about a minute, that's where the coriander hangs out.
Oh, okay. Try that.
It's very much an aftertaste. And granted, I cook with a lot of coriander, so maybe I'm pretty sensitive to it. I really like coriander. It hangs out at the very, very end.
Now you're talking about coriander, not cilantro.
Cumin.
Mm-hmm. No, I am. Yeah, I am.
Wait, is there actually a distinction between coriander and cumin?
Coriander. I don't know. We should do this one. We did bombers and proboscis and kvevré. Let's do cumin and coriander and cilantro. Is anybody a soap cilantro person here?
What?
So coriander is basically the seed
I
of the cilantro.
I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant.
Yeah, you plant the
cilantro. And they have different
coriander.
flavors.
Oh, why was I saying cumin? It is cilantro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use cilantro all the time, but I could not tell you the last time I used coriander for anything.
Yeah, what do you use coriander for, Aaron? I mean, sometimes the recipe calls for it, I put it in there, but I'm never like, what this needs is some coriander.
I'm not even sure
I like to put coriander. I like to put coriander in my sausages when I make sausage.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I make sauerkraut, I'll put some coriander in it, along with my fennel and some rye, some dill.
Maybe the next time you make a tart ale with raspberries and strawberries, you should put some coriander in.
Well, I've never made a tart ale with raspberries and strawberries.
Well, you should make one with.
Oh shit! You know what? I did put coriander in. The tamarind cider.
Ooh.
By the way, according to the internet, coriander is just the Spanish word, or cilantro is just the Spanish word for coriander. So I know that technically the distinction is the seed is coriander, the leafy greens are cilantro, but apparently one is the Spanish and one is the not.
I wonder if in Spanish-speaking countries they call it cilantro seed.
Maybe.
All I know is that cilantro is technically from Asia, which is why they think, and there's actually some other physical evidence of that ancient Chinese traders traded with South Americans before the Spanish ever got there.
What was that guy?
I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of things that that speak to that. Like hot chili oil.
Yeah, no, the South, like South Americans and the Chinese traded like 1,000 years before the Spanish showed up and fucked everything up.
Was it Zheng He? What was that guy who like? Yeah. You got a Wikipedia. Zheng. I'm gonna butcher the.
So yeah, you're gonna have to spell that.
Zheng He. ZHENG space HE. Zheng He. I'll just you can read it yourself, but I'm gonna give one sentence here. He was commanded expeditionary voyages, treasure voyages, went to Africa and everywhere from 1405 to 1433, so way earlier than Columbus. According to legend, his larger ships carried hundreds of sailors on 4 decks and were almost twice as long as any wooden ship ever recorded. I'll let you do your own going from there, but Zheng He, there was a book about this guy, came out maybe 15, 20 years ago, 7 Voyages of Zheng He, that was just like bonkers. It was one of these like hidden stories that we don't hear about because white people wrote history. So it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, they have found like ancient Chinese coins in like fucking like like the western coast of South America.
Yeah.
That date back like centuries before Europeans showed up. And it was like, yeah, no, they just traded with each other. Like the Chinese brought spices and they took back fruits and they I mean,
if this guy Zheng He in like 1410 was doing stuff like that, How about 30 years later? He's like, let's go that way and see what's there. He's gonna find South America, right? Giant boat.
I do like the idea of an explorer going, what are we gonna do? I don't know. That way.
We've gone
Let's
west.
go.
You know, second star
We'll
to
either
the
find
left,
something or we'll die.
right? But in some cultures, what's
It's
the
like
difference? Right?
Right. Yeah. But I do like the idea, like at the end of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where Kirk goes that way.
Yeah. You see that dot over there?
Go there.
Go that way. See what happens.
I like the idea of explorers to say, like, what are our goals? I don't know. Find shit. Go. Go. Hope we don't die. Go.
Yeah. And if we do, then today is a good day to die.
It's the will of the prophets if we die. And also being, you're right, like a little bit of Tepache with the Von Ebert is a perfect mix.
Splash of Tepache. Yeah.
And really, it just kind of like turns down the volume essentially.
Right. It's just basically like drinking a fruit salad.
Smooths it out a little bit.
Yeah. So the only thing that we're missing, only major beer category on the beer pyramid that we're missing is dark beers. And Tepache goes fantastically with dark beers. It's one of my favorite sort of go-tos. Dark beers outside of really intense barrel-aged stouts are not cool enough. People don't make dark beers very often, so I couldn't get one in the middle of summer. A great locally made one is gigantic LP stout. In fact, maybe Aaron, if we're correct here, it's the best locally made.
Are you going against McMinimans?
In a bottle, the best locally made stout in a bottle, right? Because McMinimans is not bottling right now. But goes great. So if you're doing dark beers like porters and stouts, it's like 90% Tepache, 10% beer, because dark beers have so much flavor for what they're packing. Not a lot of complexity necessarily, but a lot of flavor.
Yeah, it's like dipping pineapple in like dark chocolate really quick.
Right, you want all that pineapple underneath it, exactly.
Or chocolate covered candied pineapple.
Yeah,
I'm gonna order another bottle of Tepache when I get a chance, because I have one can of the porter from Montevilla that was aged in Palo Santo wood.
Oh,
which, by the way, is some of the best aged porter I've ever had in my life. That wood, what that wood does to that porter is phenomenal.
What kind of wood?
The Palo Santo wood. Go ahead, correct my pronunciation.
That's fine. No, I didn't know that was. Like,
I've also drank a lot now, so my tongue's not working.
I know. I didn't know that you could use that as like a smoking or like culinary device also.
I didn't either, but I plan on it now.
That was the only reason I was asking. I was going to let that one slide.
That's fine.
I think it's like it is a culinary thing, right?
I had not ritualistic wood, actually.
I'd only ever heard of it used in kind of like spellcraft and ritual.
Yeah, it's a ritualistic wood.
Speaking of which,
in Central and South America.
Yeah, I've heard about people using it as like a marinating thing, or maybe like a.
It's got a very distinct flavor.
I mean, it smells wonderful. So why couldn't you use it for marinades or smokes?
Yeah. At the simplest level, it's a essential wood, right? Essential oil wood. So
yeah. Also, this week I'm getting the Black is Beautiful from Fort George, so I'll try that out too.
There are 100. We talked about this last time I was on the show. Black is Beautiful. I think there are 100 Oregon breweries that are doing this Black is Beautiful thing. So that's just like super cool. And the earliest ones are coming out now. Yeah, Fort George.
The one from Fort George, they teamed up with Bowie, and they teamed up with Astoria Coffee Roasters. They put a little coffee spin on there. So
yeah. I actually, we're seeing, since the last time I was on, I talked about Black is Beautiful being the same recipe. Everyone has kind of taken that and said, here's the same base recipe, but there's a lot of twists. I like that, because it makes beer collectors want to get multiple renditions of it, so it increases the value subsequently.
Who else in town is doing it then?
I just saw an article on Brew Public or New School, I'm not sure, with a list of, there was 100 Oregon breweries that were doing a Black is Beautiful beer. which is crazy. So I haven't seen the list, but I saw the article for it.
I just wanted to point out, and if I'm totally off the ball here, so be it. But does anyone else think that the fact that coffee was such a go-to for all of the brewers feels like a little too on the nose?
Depends on where the coffee came from, right? Did they grow it in their own backyard, or did brown people pick it? Yeah.
Well, no, I just mean because coffee has a connotation of like being black, because how do you take your coffee? Black is the correct way.
No, I just coffee goes well with stout. That's
fair enough. I don't know. I had a really long and kind of complicated conversation about race today, so maybe I'm just a little bit more.
Oh, that's fair.
Conscientious about it. I'm like, is that being indirectly or unintentionally racist? Is more my brain is at right now.
Was the coffee harvested in a way above fair trade level? If not, then
I'm guessing the roaster that they teamed up with does a lot of good fair trade stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're a white brewer and you're walking into that conversation. The first thing out of your mouth should be, "Give me the most ethically fair traded coffee that you got." Right, and then let's talk about flavor.
I've got some pretty good faith in Fort George. I've never seen them pull some shady shit. They seem like good folks.
We talked about J.K. Rowling. I didn't want to bring this up, but they released a beer recently called Male Owl.
Oh yeah, I remember that because I commented on it.
You have
a problem with the Male Owl.
They have a fucking beer called Male Owl.
But by the way, MAIL for the listeners, and also he's wearing a blue satchel and a little blue hat like a mailman.
If anybody in the world says Male Owl, what's the first thing you think? You think Hedwig, not Angry Inch.
I thought it was called
Harry Potter.
I thought it was called Fan Mail.
It's called Male Owl. Maybe they changed it because they heard my one tweet with Bean's one like.
Am I the only one who responded to your tweet?
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you make that beer 10 years ago when JK was like cool, but
you also, I actually think they.
No, it's called Male Owl. I don't think they changed it.
Well, it also might be one of the things that they couldn't. It was so deep in the pipeline.
Oh, by the way, and it's a collaboration.
They didn't want to spend some more money to make it.
It's a collaboration, by the way. Fort George and Great Notion.
Well, I still stand by it. I think the Fort George people are okay, folks.
Sure, everybody makes mistakes.
I don't think that it's a JK or like a Harry Potter reference at all. If he was wearing like a little black robe or had a wand or some sort of pointy hat, something that was Harry Potter-esque in its artistic reference, I would 100% back you on that tweet. But he's dressed like a mailman. And who doesn't love the USPS?
Who else delivers mail by owl?
But like J.K. Rowling / the Harry Potter universe didn't invent that concept either. They don't own it.
Oh, I didn't know that. You tell me.
No, I don't think that
they. No, that's actually true.
Is that like a thing?
Well, for one, an owl is one of the common quote unquote witches' familiars.
Yeah.
Birds as mail carriers has been a concept for a very long time.
Oh, sure, yeah. Storks delivering the babies and all that. All right.
Yeah, and pigeons for messengers.
All right. Well, I'm not the guy clearly to give a pass or a condemnation, but
And no, Sack, it's not an owl with a boner. That's why I spelled it out specifically because of you.
These people.
No, I agree. Like if someone was to bust out with a Harry Potter themed beer right now,
right,
it'd be like, really,
that's
really,
like
dude,
slap in the face.
It's very tone deaf, to be sure. But I don't think that's what they were doing, and that's less a defense of Fort George, whom I do in fact love. I won't pretend that's not true, but I'm not necessarily defending Fort George. I just don't agree with your interpretation of.
Okay, well, I will hold.
Yeah, I'm looking at the label. There's nothing Harry Potter about it. They're literally wearing the USPS blue hat.
This is just apparently this is my lack of knowledge about the rich and storied culture of owls delivering mail. Both male and female delivering mail.
That's a good save. That's a really good save.
Yeah.
Although, oh God, and now I'm going to forget what it was. There was a something along these same lines of conversation that I was going to bring up because I saw it recently, but I got all caught up in the owl business and now I've lost track of what it was.
But Founders is still canceled. All listeners, if you drink Founders beer, you got me to answer to. They are devoutly racist. So
now that I will back you on. So here's the thing: is yes, I served in the military, and yes, I am an American citizen, born and raised. However, I have never, ever in my life had any sort of strong feelings about being patriotic. About like my reasons for being a service member are not, I think, the same as other people's. And I've never given two shits about the founding fathers. My love for the Hamilton musical aside, and I know it's problematic, I think that the 4th of July is a bullshit holiday. I think that patriotism in this country, especially in the last ever, never mind, I'm not even gonna like narrow it down to a certain century or decade. I think that being super patriotic about America is just propaganda. And I am not going to support any group that is basing their culture around the founding fathers because they were all terrible people.
You know, I was actually having this conversation with my wife recently that there are only X number of countries in the world that have the privilege, right, whatever opportunity to have an Independence Day, whatever their Independence Day is. Every country should celebrate Veterans Day. Tragically, every country should celebrate Labor Day or
Memorial Day,
Thanksgiving, Memorial Day. Yeah. But I'm just, what is 4th of July other than sort of, it has this heavily imperialistic.
It's literally an arbitrary date that a bunch of guys decided on, or that chose well, let's pick this day from this week because this is the week that we decided that we don't want to be subjects of the crown anymore. And while their general reasons for deciding not to be subjects of the crown anymore were valid, their perceptions about what validated you as a person, as a human being.
What made you a person?
Yeah. So, we hold these truths to be self-evident, all men are created equal. But they literally did not mean also women or also people of color. Literally, they meant if you own land and are a white rich dude.
Yeah, it's still the case. If you're not a landowner, it's difficult to fully participate even in your local government.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I mean, like, I don't, and this is probably inaccurate and definitely undereducated of an opinion, but I just don't think that other countries of the countries that have an Independence Day and have a history of coming out from under the subjugation of someone else, I don't think that they fetishize their history of that and the iconic people involved to the same extent that we do. And I've never understood why.
The biggest one might be Bastille Day in France. But I'm pretty sure that has to be with them, executing the royalty and the aristocrats.
Yeah, and that's like French on French rather than... It's like Civil War Day. We don't have Civil War Day, It's...
Also, it's so weird that America celebrates its freedom on the day it basically declared war, not won the war.
Yeah, they hadn't even gotten into it yet. They were just like, this is the day that we say, fuck you to King George.
Yeah.
It's not even the same day that they all agreed.
Yeah, it's not the day that the British said, all right, fine. Mm-hmm. It's the day that the country, that these men decided, we're done paying taxes to the crown.
Yeah, we're so into Independence Day that we celebrate Cinco de Mayo, even though Mexico doesn't, really. So
it's not Mexican Independence Day.
It's not even Mexican Independence.
It's our fucking day.
That's one of the things that I discussed with my friend today, with whom I had that really complex.
It's literally the Battle of Puebla. It's not even fucking Mexican Independence, which I think is September 21st.
It's September something, to be sure. There you go.
Yeah.
And I know more about I know more about American history than I do about Mexican history. For anyone who ever wants to ask me for my green card again.
That's where I make up for my lack of the language.
Is knowing more Mexican history than Spanish language?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. I think especially like in the current political climate, you get more mileage out of knowing Mexican history versus speaking Spanish.
Much like Lieutenant Worf, if you are removed from the culture but want to be a part of it, you dive in hard. Cable gets that.
And I guess in that respect, I should thank you for that because, like, if you ask my mom, she'll be like, "I taught you about our culture," but she might think she did, or she might feel like she did, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to the point where, again, like I don't feel hyper American with my patriotism or anything like that, but I also don't really feel hyper Mexican because I don't know as much as I could about that culture. And while I was raised to speak Spanish first, that was because that was the resource, it wasn't a choice, you know?
My family taught it a little bit. I actively sought it out from like a very young age and would ask family members or would do research. I actively sought it out because I felt a connection to it that I wanted to know more about. We should also get to wrapping up the show here.
I will stop ranting now.
The Tepache is empty.
No,
I think
fine.
I should stop drinking now.
I've got one more that's half full because I always see Tepache as half full now.
About 4 fingers left.
So
I'm probably gonna
as we wrap it up, as we wrap this. Yeah. Oh wait, you mean cover the bottle? That sounded so much more naughtier.
Wrap.
Or I'm buzzed. I'll give you that.
Or both.
That.
Or both. So Nat, as we get close to wrapping this up, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, of which you have no idea this was coming.
Ready, whatever.
But I feel like eventually the show eventually needs to do a collaborative cider with Reverend Nat. I know we had Tattooing Dream.
Yes.
Kind of a one-off.
That was for episode
But I feel
500.
like one day. That's right. I feel like one day there needs to be something.
A bottle.
Just saying.
Yeah.
A bottle.
You just have a
that has your logo
label.
and our logo on it.
Yeah. We've
That's
done.
Oh,
one
so
with
you want a permanent fixture?
something that he'll never
That's
open,
right.
and
Well, it could be limited.
he'll mount above Black Phillip on the way to the basement, and yeah, it'll
right.
counteract
There you go.
my
Make
lack
it
of
seasonal.
desire to go down there.
Make it seasonal, and it would absolutely be an October beer.
We can do this. The sworn, and we have to get this publicly recorded for all eternity, is that it will not be a mead in any circumstances under any possibility.
No mead.
Thank you, Cable.
No, I promise
Confirmed.
it won't be.
Confirmed.
Can it have honey in it?
That's not a mead, but sure, yes.
Actually, I don't want to brew with that. I don't want to do that. It's fine. We should go a little crazy though. I don't know.
So basically, you're saying
mead, I promise.
you want Reverend Nat's seasonal Geek in the Cider.
Can it have geeks in it?
Made from real geek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Made from real
Made
geeks.
from real
bits
geeks.
of floating geek in there.
Hey, if what's their faces can make beer out of someone else's facial hair, then fuck it.
Now you know, Cable.
Nothing.
Now
Clearly, nothing is off the table.
Gross. That's gross.
I know.
We can
Sorry. I know
we
you
can
were
call it
trying to
Reverend
avoid
Nat's
knowing,
Nat.
and I forgot.
What episode are we on right now?
This is
556.
556.
556. I was saying for 666. That would be a good one to.
We're so far away.
Yeah, it's a little too
Well,
far
hold
away.
on. You're implying that we might not either be doing this show by then or
No,
not be
I'm just
friends with
impatient.
Nat.
I'm just impatient. But for 666,
that's almost 4 years away.
That's a long way away.
No, you're right. I'm gonna get sick of you
What
guys
if we
by
just-
then.
Pre-sell it.
Yeah. What if we just do a time thing where we talk about how, like, on episode 666?
Let's all watch Tenet on August 12th and figure that shit out.
Well, no, this is what I'm
And
saying.
then,
Like, we'll make it seasonal, and it has to be October. It has to be a fall autumnal situation.
That's what Bean declares. Bean decides.
Yep. This is true.
All right,
She does.
So this fall, we make what episode? Approximate episode
coming to
we'll
you
be
this
on
fall.
in like 3 months.
By fall, we'll be on
15,
we'll be probably
600.
like on.
You won't be on
570.
600.
Like
Yeah.
add 12. No, add 10 to where we're at right now.
All right.
Yeah.
560, 566-ish? Maybe even 570. That's a nice rounder number.
Or just skip the numbers and make something delicious.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. Well,
let's not tie ourselves down.
We have to like get some. We're moving our production facility to a much larger place in another maybe 2 months, something like that. And that's going to be a huge
closing the
change.
tap room?
Well, the tap room's closed right now anyway because of all this crap.
No, but this has been in the works
yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah, and I don't think that the tap room is going to be open. We tried some openings of the tap room Friday, Saturday, Sunday to see if people showed up. A couple people showed up, which is not worth it. So this week we made the
Dang it.
sad but not terribly sad decision to lay off our one bar person. She'll probably make more money on unemployment than she will working for us. So we're not doing any in-person stuff, which makes a little bit of a challenge with our move to our new production facility move. I'm 100% committing, but I'm not committing to when. I want to have a nice, stable place for us to develop whatever we want to put. If we want to put bits of geeks in there or whatever, I want to have the right facility to do it in.
Get your geek zester out.
Yeah.
I was just being an asshole and putting it on the spot. I freely admit that.
It's a planer. It's a geek planer. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Roughly cable.
Well, maybe
size.
we just time it with like Tolkien's birthday also. Just do
October
one
21st.
massive blowout.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
is that October 21st?
September 21st.
That's also my wedding day.
September.
We're
Wait,
not
September
making
or
it. We're
October?
not making it your wedding cider.
No.
That makes it all about you.
I've done Tolkien ciders before. The Good Leaf. That's what we called it.
When was that? I don't remember that one.
3 years ago. We got permission from
I
the Saul
missed that
Zaentz
one.
Corporation to air the animated Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and Two Towers, but not Return of the King because they ran out of money to make Return of the King animated. We got permission from them. Actually, Saul Zaentz, I emailed the guy. I was like, whatever, I'm gonna email him. And his son or something, whatever, he emailed back and he was like, yeah, we normally charge like $500 for permissions to do the viewing, but will you give a $500 donation to your local food bank? In which case, we give you permission to do it. And I was like, sweet, dude. So we gave him $500
That's
to
a
work in food bank.
wonderful compromise.
Yeah, and he goes, he's like, I
That's
don't want to
cool.
deal with like any of these papers and stuff. So that's what we did. And then we showed the movies at the tap room, and like 4 people showed up. So that was cool. Yeah.
Was that the one where you allegedly had weed in the cider also?
Allegedly,
I said allegedly.
there was a
With
rumor.
the Dungeon Degenerate guys?
There was a rumor about
It was
there
a
being
vicious rumor.
tetrahydrocannabinoid in
Halfling,
there. Yeah.
halfling leaf is what we call it
Mm.
in the Shire.
Long bottom leaf. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Long
But-
bottom.
But
Wait,
Well, on
long,
that
long
note, we should
bottom.
wrap up
Isn't
the
that
show
where
for reals.
SpongeBob lives?
that's Neville.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. Anyway,
Perfect timing.
All right. With that being said, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Beanarita.
I'm Cable Hashitani.
I'm the
Our
cider guy.
guest has been Reverend Nat. We'll be back next week, where I think we might have Greg Rucka on.
Swell.
We should probably confirm that.
You can
I
talk
should
about that
confirm
new Netflix
But-
movie.
Well, because
The Old
the
Guard.
Old Guard. Also, remember last time we had Greg on, he promised after Old Guard, he would also come on and talk about how he would completely rebuild DC Comics if he was the editor in chief.
Ooh, I would love to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shave my head and murder
Let's see.
Cable for next week, just so I can take his spot. Do I look like?
I
him?
mean, you,
I mean,
you can just swap out. We can just tag team out. It's totally fine.
look, I'm
Cable's so
pro,
tired right now. He's
I'm
like,
pro
"Yeah, I got a
more
week
Reverend
off."
Nat, but I'm con you killing Cable.
okay,
So find a compromise, you two.
we'll work on that.
All right.
You can
All
just
right.
be the mirror
With that,
universe me with hair and beard.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's like
there you go.
It's like
Oh,
muck
oh,
time.
oh, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about general stuff before the show started, but I have an interview the day after tomorrow. So please, everyone, send me your positive brainwaves.
Send Bean good energy because she needs a job,
Yes.
and I don't make enough yet.
Not so hard, Nat. Not so hard. Don't hurt
That's it.
yourself.
That's all I had.
Okay, fine.
It's all sent.
Go all in. I'm with it.
And then Yeah. Finally, I usually end this show by telling Ted Wheeler to resign. But Nat, do you want to say it for me?
Fuck Ted Wheeler.
And wear a mask.
Good night. All right. Okay. We're no longer recording. I'm about to. As soon as I hit end, we'll stop streaming here. Let's see.